There is a particular kind of confusion that has no name in everyday language, a feeling of walking away from a conversation feeling smaller than you did before it started, without being able to explain exactly why. You did not lose an argument, nothing was technically said that you could point to as cruel or wrong, and yet something inside you feels off balance, like the ground quietly shifted under your feet while you were busy trying to keep up. Psychologists who study interpersonal influence say this feeling is not random, and it is not in your imagination. It is often the first sign that you are standing in the presence of manipulation, a force so subtle that most people experience its effects for years before they ever learn to recognize its source. Manipulation rarely looks like the dramatic villain behavior shown in movies. It does not usually announce itself with cruelty or obvious deceit. Instead, it operates quietly through patterns so ordinary they slip past your conscious awareness, exploiting the very same psychological mechanisms that allow humans to trust, bond, and cooperate with one another. Understanding these patterns does not make you paranoid or cynical. It makes you aware. And awareness, according to decades of psychological research, is the single most powerful defense against being controlled without your consent. The first sign hides inside something that initially feels flattering, excessive charm delivered too quickly, before any real trust has been earned. Psychologists studying manipulation tactics have identified a pattern sometimes called love bombing, though it applies far beyond romantic relationships. It can appear in friendships, workplaces, and even family dynamics. The manipulator showers you with attention, compliments, and validation early in the relationship, creating a powerful emotional bond before you've had time to evaluate their character through their actions. This rapid emotional investment is not accidental. Researchers studying influence techniques note that strong emotional bonds formed quickly tend to short-circuit normal evaluative thinking, making people far less likely to question behavior that would otherwise raise immediate red flags. By the time inconsistencies appear, the emotional connection already feels too valuable to risk losing, and this is precisely the trap. The second sign is something psychologists call selective memory weaponization, though most people simply describe it as constantly being told they're remembering things wrong. This goes beyond ordinary forgetfulness or disagreement. It involves a consistent pattern where the manipulator rewrites shared history in ways that conveniently benefit their own position, insisting events happen differently than you clearly recall, until you begin doubting your own memory entirely. This tactic has a more familiar name to many people: gaslighting, a term originated from a classic stage play in which a husband manipulates his wife into believing she is losing her sanity. What makes this tactic especially dangerous is its cumulative effect. A single instance might seem like a harmless misunderstanding, but repeated over months or years, it can fundamentally erode someone's confidence in their own perception of reality, leaving them dependent on the manipulator's version of truth simply because they no longer trust their own. The third sign involves a strange emotional rhythm that researchers describe as intermittent reinforcement, a concept originally studied in behavioral psychology using simple reward experiments. Imagine two different patterns of reward. In one, you receive a reward every single time you perform an action. In the other, the reward is unpredictable, sometimes arriving, sometimes not, with no clear pattern at all. Counterintuitively, behavioral studies have shown that unpredictable rewards create far stronger psychological attachment than consistent ones. Manipulators, whether consciously or instinctively, often apply this exact principle to relationships, alternating between warmth and coldness, affection and criticism, attention and distance. This unpredictability keeps the other person constantly seeking approval, anxiously trying to recreate the good moments, unaware that the very unpredictability itself is what keeps them emotionally hooked. The fourth sign is far more subtle and far more socially acceptable, which is exactly what makes it so effective:
the strategic use of guilt. Manipulators frequently frame their own needs or desires as obligations belonging to someone else, making basic personal boundaries feel like selfish betrayals. A request to spend time alone becomes evidence of not caring enough. A disagreement becomes proof of disloyalty. Psychologists note that guilt is one of the most socially reinforced emotions across nearly every culture, which makes it an extraordinarily efficient tool for control. Most people are raised believing that causing someone else emotional discomfort, even through entirely reasonable boundaries, makes them a bad person. Manipulators exploit this deeply ingrained belief, turning ordinary self-respect into something that feels, falsely, like cruelty. The fifth sign reveals itself through a particular conversational habit, the relentless reframing of any criticism directed at the manipulator into evidence of the other person's flaws instead. This is sometimes called deflection, though its psychological mechanism runs deeper than simple denial. When confronted about specific behavior, instead of addressing the concern directly, the manipulator redirects the conversation towards the accuser's supposed oversensitivity, paranoia, or unreasonable expectations. Over time, this creates a pattern where the manipulated person stops raising concerns altogether, not because the concerns disappeared, but because raising them consistently resulted in feeling attacked, exhausted, or somehow at fault for noticing a problem in the first place. The sixth sign is something researchers studying coercive control call isolation through subtle erosion, a pattern far more gradual and far less obvious than dramatic controlling demands. Rather than openly forbidding contact with friends or family, manipulators often plant small seeds of doubt about the people closest to their target. A casual comment questioning a friend's intentions, a subtle suggestion that a family member doesn't truly understand or support them. These comments, scattered occasionally rather than delivered all at once, slowly create distance between the manipulated person and their support network, without that person even realizing the distance is growing, until they look around one day and notice how few people they feel comfortable confiding in anymore. Isolation, researchers note, is one of the most dangerous outcomes of long-term manipulation, because supportive outside perspectives are often the very thing that helps people recognize manipulation in the first place. The seventh and final sign, in many ways, is the most psychologically revealing of all. A consistent feeling of walking on eggshells, an exhausting, low-level vigilance around someone's potential reactions, even when nothing specific seems wrong in the moment. This feeling often develops slowly, through repeated exposure to unpredictable emotional responses, where the same action might be met with warmth one day and anger the next, with no clear logic connecting cause and consequence. Psychologists studying chronic stress note that this kind of unpredictable environment activates the body's threat detection systems almost constantly, keeping cortisol levels elevated even during moments that should otherwise feel calm and safe. This is why many people who have spent extended time around manipulative individuals describe a profound, almost confusing sense of relief once that relationship ends, a physical lightness they didn't realize they were missing until the constant low-grade tension finally disappeared. Recognizing these 7 signs raises an important and somewhat uncomfortable question. If manipulation operates so quietly, through mechanisms that exploit ordinary human psychology rather than obvious cruelty, how can anyone protect themselves without becoming permanently suspicious of every relationship in their life? Psychologists studying healthy relationship dynamics offer a surprisingly simple answer. The goal is not constant suspicion, but consistent self-trust. Manipulation thrives specifically in environments where a person's confidence in their own perceptions, memories, and instincts has been slowly worn down. Rebuilding and protecting that internal trust, learning to notice when something feels wrong even before you can fully explain why, remains one of the most powerful psychological defenses available, far more effective than memorizing a checklist of warning signs alone. Perhaps the most unsettling truth buried within all of this research is that manipulation is rarely about overpowering someone through obvious